Thank you so much, Manizha Bakhtari, for joining us here and AwareNow to share this space, to share your story. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ellie. Thank you for having me. It's indeed a pleasure to be introduced to you.
Well, let's get right into it. Let's begin this way. Could you tell us first how you became the Afghan ambassador to Austria just before the fall of the Afghan Republic, and how has your embassy managed to remain operational despite the severe challenges and pressure from the Taliban?
Yeah, Ali, it's been quite a journey. I entered the Foreign Service in 2007, but I resigned from the government in 2016 due to some disagreements. And after working in different fields for a couple of years, for a while, I was called back by the former foreign minister to rejoin the service, and I accepted the offer and commenced my role as the ambassador of Afghanistan to Austria on January 2021, only to witness the government's collapse in August of the same year. I mean, like in 6-7 months. And what do you call it? Fate, I don't know. Even during those 6 months, we encountered numerous challenges as the then government was on the brink of collapse, and we received conflicting instructions, and we were a bit lost even on those 6-7 months. And despite the obvious signs, I couldn't believe it would happen. I was convinced that with the thousands of security forces, the brilliant civil society and women leaders around us, we wouldn't reach such a point to lose everything we had achieved over the past 20 years in the blink of an eye, like House of Cards collapse. And well, anyway, following the collapse, we found ourselves amid of numerous problems. Firstly, our embassy residence and our diplomats' accommodations were in rental apartments, and we hadn't received any financial support, and still we do not receive any financial support. Anyway, consequently, we had to relocate to more affordable places. We couldn't sustain a large team. I had a large team at the time, so we had to let go of diplomats and local employees. And currently, we survive on the small income earned by the consular section. I have a small team, and well, I won't elaborate further on this, but it's important to note that when I speak of the embassy, it's not the typical office of diplomats, as you have something in your imagination, and we simply strive to survive amidst the financial challenges. And when you call me the ambassador, it's not like a typical ambassador with the, I don't know, like with the driver or secretary or whatsoever. It's like we try to survive. And additionally, we face significant political challenges and obstacles, including pressures from the Taliban, especially pressures directed towards me as the head of the mission. And I'm vocal about the atrocities committed by the Taliban, and consistently I oppose them whenever I can speak on international platforms or another media spaces. So that was the journey.
Quite a journey. So what is the overall situation in Afghanistan today?
Afghanistan today is a prime example of a failed state, both domestically and internationally. It's a landscape defaced by poverty, but little to no support for its people and minimal job opportunities. According to a report, a recent report from UNICEF, staggering 29.2 million individuals, including, let me check my numbers, including 5.3 million of four populations are in dire need of humanitarian assistance. And they are trapped in a large wave of restrictions and they are struggling with severe limitations on their freedoms. And the Taliban's takeover since August 2021 has plunged the nation into a downward trail. They have blatantly disregarded Afghanistan's commitments under international treaties like the Convention of the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, the CEDAW. And Afghanistan ratified that in 2003. And Taliban's policies are draconian, particularly targeting women and girls. And they are limiting education, imposing barriers to employment, and severely restricting their movements, pushing them to the margins of society. And besides that, arbitrary arrest, prosecution, and torture are happening, especially targeting young women and former security forces. And Afghanistan once was an active member of the global community, and now it stands isolated, ruled by extreme ideologies and shunned by international platforms. And I remember that our then foreign ministry, with the help of other entities, were reporting to the Commission of Resolution 1325 once. And now we do not have even one female employee in the very same ministry. The situation is extremely dire and disheartening. Millions of girls can't go to school and can't continue their higher education. Women have lost their rights and aren't part of progress anymore. Afghanistan used to be an active member of the international community. Now it's controlled by a strict, extreme way of thinking. And as things get worse, people's problems grow, and showing how hopeless the situation is.
Yeah. Could you discuss for a moment the a term we're hearing more of, gender apartheid in Afghanistan, and how the Taliban's edicts, verdicts, and bans affect the future of women in Afghanistan?
Absolutely. Since their takeover, the Taliban has issued over 70 decrees. At least I know about the 70 decrees that effectively ban women from participating in society, politics, and other various activities. And now when we translate these decrees and look at the Taliban's governing structure, what comes is a reality of gender segregation, or what can be strongly termed as gender apartheid. You are aware of the International Convention on the Suppression and Punishment of the Crime of Apartheid, which was ratified in 1976 in response of South Africa's racial segregation. That actually serves as a crucial document condemning any actions leading to racial segregation. And now if you just replace the racial with gender segregation, then it's applicable to Afghanistan's situation as well. It's significant because it identifies any inhuman acts resulting in the domination of one group over another as apartheid. And now that is the male domination in Afghanistan. And in recent years, we have seen the application of those provisions expanding to define a situation of discrimination and criminal segregation based on various factors, including gender, culture, and others. So particularly in women's issues, this convention serves as a vital legal framework for addressing such matters. And I would like to use that term because if we do not have a legal term to hold the Taliban responsible, so how we can define the situation, like politically, I'm aware that we can talk about everything, but legally we need to have a structure to hold them accountable. And these actions also encompasses humanitarian crimes and other offenses, which unfortunately can't be fully addressed in our discussion today. Anyhow, I hope we have this term as a legal means as soon as possible in the international conventions and legal system. And I'm aware that a large group of entities and individuals are working on that issue. And now, in the Taliban's ideology and religious interpretation, women are essentially created to serve the comfort of men. Like raising a family, raising children, cleaning and cooking. And this viewpoint, of course, objectifies women and, defining them as possessions of men and the guardians of family honor. And as per the Taliban, their presence in society is viewed as a threat to men's social status, moral health, and mental well-being. So that's why they do not want women in the society. And unfortunately, this mindset finds resistance in various layers of our society, and we cannot hide that the fact. And that is kind of like leading to traditionalism, and in some cases, silence and ignorance. You see that the Taliban are coming and arresting a group of women or an individual on the streets, and people are just looking. So then it means that there is some resistance in some layers of our society. Ultimately, these decrees and ideologies mean that we will not have another generation of female doctors, teachers, and professionals to contribute to the society. It creates a vicious cycle where our women remain dependent on male family members and are unable to exercise their basic rights. So it's a dire situation which far-reaching implications for the future of Afghanistan. Many young girls want to leave Afghanistan, and many take illegal way to pass borders, and that leads to another phenomena. I'm sure that you're aware that passport is not available for everyone in Afghanistan. So they take illegal ways, and even if they have the passports, then of course they face problems to get the visas. And that current unpleasant developments has intensified to the risk of human trafficking, particularly for women who are at a higher risk of exploitation. And this includes trafficking for purposes such as forced and child marriages, sexual exploitation, and forced labor. So, I believe the situation and the atrocities the Taliban are doing is a form of gender apartheid in Afghanistan, and we should recognize this term.
Yeah, just call it what it is. See it for what it is. And
exactly.
Once seen for what it is, it has to be addressed. Considering the fact that almost 50% of the Afghan population is under the age of 15, and the Taliban have replaced schools with madrasas similar to those attended by the Taliban in Pakistan, what threats will the world face years from now after a generation of young, innocent boys have graduated from these institutions?
Certainly, thank you for bringing up this point. Indeed, I always want to bring up this subject because, many minimize the situation of Afghanistan only to women's rights, but the tragedy is bigger than that. So we should talk about these two phenomena as well, and it's essential to clarify that. First of all, let me say let me clarify that not all schools have transitions into madrasas. Many are still functioning well with alterations to their curriculum, which is leaning more towards religious studies, or in a way of, we can tell that even we can call those schools like kind of madrasas. However, recent reports indicates that the Taliban have constructed thousands of new madrasas, and according to the BBC report, which I read it a while ago, the number of official religious schools in Afghanistan has increased fivefold over the past 2 decades. I would say that you are absolutely correct about the concerning trend of innocent boys being drawn towards extremism. And it's a reality that deeply worries me. And the rise of a new generation of extremists poses a significant threat, not just to Afghanistan, but to the entire region and beyond. And even if we were to witness a significant transformation in Afghanistan today, and the Taliban goes away, still the Taliban's rule and their policies have already left a profound impact on our young generation. So Ali, let me share a personal story to highlight this issue. A close friend of mine in Kabul, who was once open-minded, now sees her young sons adopting extremist ideologies and indirectly supporting gender apartheid in Afghanistan. And they have even changed their appearances to mimic the Taliban. And she sent me a couple of pictures, and that scared me. It may seem simple, but it underscores a deeply rooted problem, and I'm genuinely concerned. And through platforms like yours, I urge the world once again to pay attention to this pressing issue. I cannot emphasize enough. We must be cautious about the rise of a new generation of extremists in Afghanistan.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's talk about you for a moment. What actions are you taking? What actions are you able to take to counter the Taliban's oppression and their violations of human rights?
Very difficult questions to answer. Indeed, I don't have a concrete answer for that. But while the situation in Afghanistan is undoubtedly dire, and we have witnessed the loss of 2 decades of developments and progress, and many of us are even unable to return due to fear and persecution from the Taliban. However, despite these challenges, there are still hope. We shouldn't lose hope. Actually, what has remained is hope, and we always go ahead with the hope we have for the past 40 years. And Afghanistan's young generation possesses high levels of education and knowledge, and I firmly believe they will be instrumental in reshaping the narrative of our country. It's inspiring to see our girls courageously standing up for their rights, even in the face of violence and arrest. Moving forward, it's imperative that we prioritize networking and fostering trust among various groups. I believe our networking, establishing a robust network of individuals and parties who are opposing to the Taliban's policy is crucial, I believe. And together we can firmly stand against them and work towards a better future for Afghanistan. Let's keep the conversation alive about Afghanistan. Let's keep the conversation ongoing, because like right now, the discourse of Afghanistan is kind of dying down because of other crises in the world: Ukraine, Gaza, Yemen, and many more. And Afghanistan is kind of forgotten subject. Let's not forget Afghanistan. Let's not lose hope, and let's persist in our struggle for justice, democracy, and human rights, because these are the universal principles that all humans around the world agree on, that at least many. We should not forget the universality of Human Rights Declaration. That should be applicable everywhere, including Afghanistan. We cannot talk about human rights, women's rights, gender balance, and even feminist foreign policy, but forget Afghanistan. We should have Afghanistan in the loop. And we should not forget the universality of human rights declaration. And we must not abandon Afghan girls. They deserve every opportunity and support. We should not forget them, and we should work together with them. We should give them spaces. We should bring them into conversations. They deserve to have a seat. They deserve to have seats on the negotiation and conversations about Afghanistan.
Thank you so much for taking this time today to share your story, to share the state of affairs, to give us a different lens to look through and to see perhaps a bit more clearly. Thank you for helping all of us become a bit more aware now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Indeed, the pleasure was mine, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk with your audience. And let me finish by this, that I have 3 girls and 1 son, and my 3 girls have every opportunity and they had every opportunity to study and to be useful members of the society. And I want this for all girls around the world, including Afghanistan's girls and women. And let's work on that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.